before we jump in. So I'm Tom. I'm a senior customer success manager here at Luzmo. My main role is to make sure you're successful with Luzmo, essentially, and to connect you in with people in our product team. So joining us today, we have Francois, one of our senior product managers, and Jasper, our VP of product. Francois, Jasper, I don't know if you want to say some words more eloquently than I just introduced you.
Yeah, thanks. You already introduced me, I guess. So I'm Jasper, VP of Product at Luzmo. I'll do the bulk of the presentation here, but I'll be supported by Francois to answer questions.
I can introduce myself, Francois, PM at Luzmo, and I will also obviously help to answer questions if you have any in the chat, or feel free to ask anything.
Perfect. With that being said, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we'll have a Q&A section towards the end of the webinar. But if you have any questions along the way, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll get them answered as soon as possible.
All right. Shall we kick it off, Tom?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Apologies for not updating your name on this slide, by the way.
That's fine.
Jump right ahead. Before I jump into roadmap, and I won't make the first section too long because I know everyone is waiting for what they're actually working on right now. But I also want to share a little bit where does that roadmap come from? Because it's fortunately not just the product team coming up with whatever we feel like. We base the input for a product roadmap on a lot of things, and here are a few interesting data points to share. Last year, we delivered 24 of the roadmap features we planned for 2024. And of course, after a feature's release, we measure those with usage analytics on our end to figure out how's adoption, how many of our customers are actually using it. If someone is trying a feature, does it stick? Is it kept being used? That tells us something about should we keep investing that, gather some more feedback, or what could the next steps be? Secondly, we get a lot of questions through our support team, 1,540 questions in total last year. And we all analyze those and categorize to distill the product information out of that. Of course, not all of those questions are related to product, but a lot of those are. And it's one of our other primary sources of input. Additionally, we received 613 direct feature requests linked to roadmap candidates or sometimes totally new ideas. And of course, those are additionally a primary source for us, not just to prioritize features, but also to distill new ideas and to discover new challenges that customers might deal with. A last number to share, we had 141 meetings with customers on in-depth product discussions. That's often when we decided, hey, this feature is a good candidate for next quarter, or this is a feature that we already are starting to work on. We often rely a lot on in-depth meetings to share what we're thinking in developing a feature, what types of choices we consider to make, and get direct feedback on. Does it actually solve the problem that customers expect to be solved by that feature?
Jasper.
And yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to ask, we have quite a lot of data points there in terms of requests and stuff like that. So I was just going to ask, could you explain a little how we process each of these feature requests?
Yeah, that's a perfect question at the perfect moment in time here. Because this last image you see here is just a screenshot of the feedback form in our Luzmo app. You can open that by the little question mark item on the top right. If you add a suggestion there, it ends up directly with the product team. So it becomes part of those 613 feature requests. And we use product boards to collect and process all those insights. And the way that works through product board and in our internal process, every single feature request that's submitted through this forum or directly by people like Tom after conversation with customers ends up in a long list of insights. And Francois, myself, and Yannick, our other PM in the product team, are weekly processing every single insight and linking them to features. So one insight or one problem or suggestion that a customer is struggling with can relate to one feature very directly. It can also relate to more than one feature. So we use all that feedback to make sure that we have a complete list of features that customers might expect over time, and also prioritize those based on the number of insights and the urgency of those insights that we linked to the features in Product Board.
Perfect. Thank you for that. It's good to know.
All right. I'll jump ahead to our strategy and roadmap, and I'll start with sharing our 3 big topics for this year, at least that we're starting out this year with. First is what we call building data products, and it's all about moving beyond dashboards if you want to. We released Flex last year. We also released advanced embedding and a lot more, slightly developer-focused tools, which gives you a lot more flexibility in how you embed dashboards or even single charts, and how you combine that with other content inside your own application. And it means that the limits of one big dashboard block, which is just one big static section in one page, that those limits are off, and you can build complete interfaces with interactivity and let your users actually work directly in charts and tables through Lusmo and your own content. That stuff like that is possible, and we want to extend on that, so that you can start thinking beyond dashboard and build more complete data-fueled, data-focused UIs with Lusmo. We don't want to be a fully developer-focused product, of course, so the big challenge for us here is to offer all that flexibility that we have in mind and that customers are asking for us, but still keep the simplicity of the editor and the whole no-code platform, and not stray away from that. Secondly, AI shouldn't be a surprise. This is, I guess, still a strategic topic for many companies. We built up a lot of expertise with Lusmo IQ on how to make LLMs work very well with data, with large amounts of data. And we're definitely going to double down on that. Improve Lusmo IQ, its speed, the type of answers it can provide, but also be smart about how we can use Lusmo IQ in the rest of our platform and our dashboard editor, for example. Lastly, what we call success at scale is about somewhat enterprisey features, you could almost say. We're getting more and more requests of our customers that have been growing with us, or customers that just have a larger size, on making it easier to manage Lusmo as a platform. And that can mean things like single sign-on or more admin options. There's a range of features that fits here, but we definitely feel some pressure and increased amount of requests that are about making Lusmo easier as a platform to handle if you have multiple teams or large teams working with us.
Jasper, just before we move on, I think you mentioned AI is a big focus for us, and there's a few AI features within Lusmo at the moment. I'm not sure if you have any details on how many of our customers are using our current AI features. It could be good to share with everyone.
Yeah, sure. I think I can share some statistics on that. We have a couple of AI features currently live, like generating column descriptions, the chart generator and the editor, and of course Lusmo IQ. The chart generator in our dashboard editor is the oldest, if you could call it that, the oldest feature. And right now that has just above 60% adoption, which means that more than 60% of our customers have at least one dashboard with an AI-generated chart in it being active.
Nice.
Yeah, that's and that number is still growing every week. So that's a really tangible result.
Good, glad to hear it.
I'll jump to the roadmap Q1 slide, and I'll give you a brief overview and jump into a few topics more in depth. We have 4 big topics for ourselves in Q1. Bring your own chart, which is a huge undertaking on our side, but something we cannot get around anymore because we have too many customers asking for this. So we were happy that we can finally start on that. Warp Delta Sync, an evolution of our current Warp product, a showcases library, and of course, AI or Lusmo IQ, so to speak. We have a few other topics that I will come back to later, but first I want to jump into those 4 bigger topics on our side. Warp Delta Sync is about making Warp, which is our acceleration layer, which basically copies the data of your data sets to Lusmo in an analytics performant database so that you can run faster queries on that. Right now, we do full copies on every sync, which means that with super large data sets, performance can be a challenge of those syncs, but also you cannot sync too often. Like every hour is kind of the maximum right now for large data sets. With Warp Delta Sync, we combine that with syncing only the delta, so only the data that's new or changed in a data set, which of course makes sure that the amount of data that we need to sync each time is a lot less. That offers better stability and performance, but it also means that you can sync a lot more frequent. So it's not truly real time, it's not a streamed connection. But Francois and his team are currently testing our current setup and what we've already built in this. And we're pretty confident we can be very close to real time. It depends a bit on the data set, but you could say near real time data synchronization. So if you want to speed up your data and you need an analytics performant data set, but freshness of data is also super important for your own customers, then Warp Delta Sync is definitely something to inquire about. Next one up, bring your own chart. Our biggest undertaking of this quarter. That's about creating your own chart widgets and adding them to Lusmo. So you can use them anywhere, in Lusmo's editor, in the embedded editor, as separate components. You see an example here of a chart that you won't recognize from Lusmo because it's a custom chart added to a dashboard. And with Bring Your Own Chart, you will be able to add those custom charts that you fully control yourself to Lusmo. But Lusmo will still do a lot of the heavy lifting, like the querying, the interactivity between other charts and filters, access control, for example. So all that is still taken care of by Lusmo. You don't need to code anything for that. And that makes a very powerful feature to add your own visualizations to it, while still relying a lot on the Lusmo platform to make things fast and fast go-to-market for yourself. Thirdly, the showcase library. This is not something that will be added to the Lusmo app itself. It's not that a feature in that respect. But we noticed that with the launch of Flex and a lot of other somewhat more developer-focused features, we're doing more and more custom examples for customers, but also for prospects, where we show that some specific use cases are fairly easy to build without a lot of development on your own side, with Lusmo with tools like Flex and our API. And we've also noticed that quite a few of those questions are pretty similar. So the aim for this quarter is to create a library where we have production-ready code examples of some of those most frequently requested use cases, where everyone could take a look and figure out, hey, apart from just a one-off embedding of a dashboard, I need something slightly different. Let me check the showcase library if there's already an example there that does this, that has already been proven useful for other Lusmo customers. So this will serve partly as inspiration and partly as something to speed up customization on your side.
Nice. Jasper, do we have any examples that we might be able to show now of this? Yeah, I can actually show something that we've been creating for 2 customers recently, or shared with 2 customers recently. Of course, there's some Flex examples already on our website, on our Flex landing page. One other thing, I'll have to quickly switch to another screen, so I hope this works. Yeah, it works perfectly. It worked.
One other thing is what we often call a chart library. And what you see here is an embedded Lusmo dashboard that everyone would recognize with the styling and the grid. But this is actually embedded in a third-party library grid. So this is still editable fully in our editor. This is just a dashboard I created in an editor. But since I embedded this in a third-party grid, I get other options to modify and edit this grid. For example, I can add a chart library. So here's a library of predefined charts that are not in this dashboard yet. And I offer the user of this dashboard to remove charts that the user doesn't need. Like maybe I don't need this diagram here, but I want to add another one. So I'm going to add this one here. And a chart library like this sometimes is useful for customers for who something like the embedded dashboard editor is too powerful and too data savvy for their end users, but we still want to offer some kind of flexibility and customizability of the dashboard to their end users. And as you see here at the bottom, these are just two dashboards. So there's one default dashboard and one dashboard that I use to fill this chart library. And there's very little custom code behind this because all the interactivity the charts, the grid, the layout, everything is still handled by Lusmo. And with a little bit of code on your own side, with the help of Flex, you can create things like this that, fairly easy and that are easy to maintain.
Nice, looks great.
I'll switch back here. All right, lastly, AI/Lusmo IQ. For Lusmo IQ, there are two things that we're heavily investing in. We've noticed that the system we set up and the experience we built is really successful at doing queries with an LLM on large amounts of data, which is pretty hard with just plain SQL and with one-off non-agentic AI approaches. But we don't want to stop here, and also AI models are not sitting still, so we want to make it faster and also expand the type of questions and the quality of those questions that we can answer. So we'll double down on the quality of Lusmo IQ, but we'll also make sure that the capabilities that we built with Lusmo IQ, that we reuse them for features in Lusmo's editor and other parts of the product. So you will see more of those workflow, quality of life improvements, and you'll see easier ways to use capabilities like Lusmo IQ inside other parts of the product.
Amazing. For any of the people in attendance, if you're doing anything particularly interesting in AI or have any strategies, feel free to reach out to us or pop any kind of questions or comments in the chat. We'd love to hear what you're working on.
I'll jump ahead, or I should say back to this slide, before I look ahead over Q1. You see that there is a section with other topics. Our primary focus is on the 4 topics that I just covered, but that's definitely not everything we're working on. There's some promises we still want to live up to on expanding on what aggregation formulas can do and how easy it is to use them. We're still working on Flex, some quality of life improvements like improving its performance. Large file exports for tables, for example, a specific feature that we started working on. We're expanding filter options that you will also notice in our dashboard editor. That also brings us to the dashboard editor itself. We're never sitting still on that one, so we're also planning some UX improvements and updates there. We're even on the background overhauling the system that's used to build all the settings panels to make it easy to generate those with bring your own chart, but it also helps us to align all the settings and where you can find which button across the different widgets that we already have. And there's of course a part on data connections and transformation of data. Dashboards can be super beautiful, but if you cannot format the data in the right way to show it in a chart, then there's still no use to it. So we're doing some things there. One important topic for us there, for example, is supporting array columns. So we have a lot of topics that we're working on in Q1, with the 4 big ones here in the blue-purple blocks. And then I also quickly want to look ahead beyond Q1. There a lot of topics that we're already actually shaping and actually looking into for the rest of the year. There's some topics that, well, we've been discussing with customers, but are definitely less far along. But I think it can be summed up in these 6 sections. AI will definitely stay a topic also beyond Q1. We see a lot of traction there, like I already shared with our chart generator, and that growth also within our product doesn't seem to stop for the foreseeable time. I mentioned the embedded dashboard editor when I showed that code example for a showcase library. And the embedded dashboard editor, while it's a super powerful tool, we also noticed that any customer who starts to use that has requirements on how to customize that or how to tweak that to really fit the needs of their own customers. So we're going to do an evolution of our embedded dashboard editor, where you will be able to formulate your own customization experience that can be way more tailored than is currently possible with the embedded dashboard editor. We'll keep investing in our visualizations, so the charts and other widgets. The one most important there, where we get most feedback and most requests about our table widgets, so the regular table, the pivot table. Next up, what we call here enterprise excellence, but kind of the topic for features for bigger teams and bigger organizations to make it easier to work with Lismo. Then analytics capabilities. Aggregation formulas is something we work on this quarter, but we'll probably keep extending on that for at least Q2 and maybe a bit more. There's some more ambitious features that we might be planning there, like anomaly detection. We're also still sometimes talking about predictive analytics in this analytics topic. And then performance is a topic that will never go away. It will always be a partial focus of us and something where we are looking for gains. Something very specific, if you are using it, is grouped query improvements. Grouped queries is something that is a powerful performance optimizer, but there are also cases where it doesn't work that well, and we want to make sure that if we build features that improve performance, that it can be applied to as many dashboards and as many customers as possible. So that's one topic where we definitely invest time this year.
Jasper, a quick question. So there's a lot of topics and a lot of areas that different customers might be interested in. I think you mentioned at the beginning, we've had over 100 meetings with customers last year to get their feedback. Just for everyone in attendance, what's the best way for customers to kind of get involved in those discussions and have connections with you, essentially?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one way, of course, you can always reach out directly to Tom or one of his colleagues. But one way to get your feedback in quickly and easy is, like I shared, the little feedback button in the Lismo app. The other way is, I actually added a screenshot here. If you go to our public roadmap on lismo.com, you will find this button, submit an idea. Everything you send in there also ends up directly with the product team. It will be added as an insight to product board, so we'll see it in the same week as you submit it, probably. And make that count when we prioritize features. If you see a topic on here that's really close to your heart, or something that would really make your life a lot easier, or you have a strong opinion about, reach out directly, I'd say, to Tom or anyone, your point of contact at Lismo. Because I think for most of these topics, maybe anomaly detection is a bit further out, but for most of the topics, we are ready to get more in-depth feedback, to have some customer meetings, to discuss expectations and share our plans. So feel free to ask to be part of that conversation when there's something on here that's important to you. And of course, if there's stuff that you need or expect that's not on here, this is still just a summary and not every single thing. Definitely use that submit button as well, or inquire about that.
Perfect. Thanks, Jasper.
And that sums up the overview of this quarter and our focus for this year. I'll probably jump back to the slides based on the questions, but I'd say let's open it up to questions.
Thanks for taking us through that, Jasper. I saw a few questions have already started to come in. I think Francois is answering a few. I think there's a few questions around aggregation formulas. I think Francois just answered Edgardo, but just for the sake of interest, the question was the aggregation formulas would be more complex or have some more options. So maybe you can share some details on what we're doing in aggregation formulas.
Yeah.
And I think in the chat, Audrey also asked a question around alerts on aggregation formulas. So maybe you can share a few more details of what we're doing there and what we expect that to look like.
I can answer those both in one go. The first thing for aggregation formulas is that we are going to update the UI to make it a bit easier to create those formulas and understand what, for example, grouping functions are doing that Francois was already mentioning. So at first we actually don't want to make it more complex, we want to make it easier to use. And then the next steps are to add a few much requested features, like the ability to use formulas like you would any column in things like filters, which would also make it possible to set alerts based on formulas and do other things based on formulas. So that's the most important one next up. Formulas can be super complex, but if you cannot use them to filter by or set alerts on, or to filter, for example, in your embed token, then you're not unlocking the full value. So that's an important next step.
Good, perfect. Thank you for that. I've seen a few questions come in around the large file exports. I think there was a question just asking for some more details about it. I saw Nicholas also followed up to understand if it was for table, not just for tables, but for other widgets as well. So I'm not sure if you have any more details on the large exports and what customers can expect there.
Yeah, so Francois, I can elaborate on Francois' answer. It's indeed first for tables, because that's where we receive the most feedback and where it's most likely that you, for example, would have row level data instead of aggregated weekly or quarterly data in charts, which ends up being fewer rows. So we built this first for tables, but the export and download mechanism for that needs to be updated. It needs to be different from how it works right now to support much larger files. Once we have that mechanism, it will be easier to add it to other widgets when that's relevant. So please add that feedback to product board, because that will help us increase it in priority.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. I saw Thomas asked, is there a place where we can learn more about the roadmap for changes regarding the visualizations and analytics? For example, if someone's interested in the group and X function and when it would be fully operational, where can we learn more about the timeline? I think I could probably jump in with some answers before I hand it over to Jasper. So we have our roadmap on our website. We'll be able to share the link. Someone will be able to share the link in just a moment, but we have our upcoming and planned releases as part of that roadmap. Another way you can find out what we're doing is we typically host a quarterly roadmap session such as this one. So more than welcome to kind of jump in and ask there. Or I would say for specific feature requests in general, feel free to reach out to your CSM or Luzmo support team, and we'll be able to speak with our product team and try and get you a bit more of a precise answer. It's not always an exact science, but we'll try and get you an answer that kind of comes to you as soon as possible. Jasper, I'm not sure if you have anything you might want to add to that.
Not much. I think your answer is close to what I would have answered. I'd say on the visualizations itself, you won't see many big updates on visualizations on the widgets this quarter in Q1, because we're spending that time and effort on Bring Your Own Chart. But with some of the updates we're doing for Bring Your Own Chart, it will also be easier for us to update visualizations. So you'll definitely see that more in the rest of the year. Very specific on grouping functions like group index. It is fully operational now. So if you need that in a formula, don't hesitate to use that in production. The thing that makes it hard to use is that the UI doesn't accommodate it yet. So you can, without any hesitation, you can use that, and you will see that this quarter will start updating that UI to make it easy to use that formula and to change that formula.
Perfect. Sounds good. I think another topic that's popular in the chat is around the bring your own chart and whether there'll be like a public repository that people can see and publish, and just some information around that. If you have any more information on the bring your own chart part that you can share.
Yeah, of course, we've also discussed the public repository, and there are of course examples in the market where there's a whole marketplace of charts. We'll definitely start out closed at first. So at first, we'll bring the whole bring your own chart mechanism, and how the handoff would work is that you submit the chart code to us, where we would test it, run it, and add it to the system. So the adding part wouldn't be fully open yet, and definitely not so open that we would allow code to be shared. But it's definitely a direction that has come up frequently already. And one thing that we definitely do is provide code examples and the starting point, so that you don't need to work from scratch with just documentation.
Okay. Brilliant. Sounds good. I guess once we're closer to releasing the chart libraries feature, we'll have some help center documentation. We might run another webinar closer to the time, kind of going through some of the features, but you can always reach out to your CSM or our support team if you have any specific questions on bring your own chart, how it will work, how we expect it to interact with elements outside of Lismo. We'll be more than happy to go through those with everyone. Just looking through the questions to see if there's anything that we missed. I think most questions have been answered or in the process of being answered. I guess we have a few minutes left, so please continue to add your questions to the questions button or the chat, and we'll be happy to get those answered. But a question for you, Jasper, from me, one that you might not be prepared for. What are you looking forward to? What's the development you're most looking forward to when it comes to our 2025 roadmap?
That's a very difficult question, because then you force me to pick something. So I cannot, honestly, I also cannot point out one thing, but of AI would be an easy answer, because there's still so much happening and so much value to unlock with that. But I'm going to add next to that as well our building data products approach. Because I've seen, also looking at what some customers have already built after Flex, after a release of Flex and features like advanced embedding, I've seen that it's becoming so easy with what there already is and what we're building to kind of switch between the low-code approach and building a dashboard and just embed it as is and quick go-to-market towards building more specific interfaces and UIs fueled with data. It's very, very easy to switch between those modes, like go more on development effort and tweak it exactly to your needs and customize stuff, or back to, okay, we're going to take a low-code approach here. So I'm really eager to see like what types of questions we'll get throughout the year, where that extended flexibility will come into play, and what types of user interfaces will be built with Lismo that are going a bit beyond just a dashboard.
Nice. Looking forward to it. Just a few updates from some of the questions in the chat. So Jim, I think Francois just sent over to you the link to our roadmap. This is what I was referring to earlier. On that, you're able to see what we have planned, what we have upcoming, and what we have under consideration, for example. And you can also hit the submit an idea button to submit the idea yourself. Robert, I saw you post a question about plans on reports and more advanced data exports. I'll let Jasper talk about that in just a second, but if you have anything specific you're looking for there, feel free to reach out and let us know exactly what you might want in terms of like reporting and more advanced data exports.
Yeah, I can say that for scheduled data exports, it's definitely something that we've been looking into again for this year, and that might not have been on that list on the previous slides, but that we're considering. there are a bunch of things there that we want to overhaul, like alerting functionality, but also scheduled exports, exports and charts. We're not that far that we have specifics yet, but it's definitely a topic for this year. I'm not sure what the reports can be in this context. So Robert, if you want to elaborate on that in another question, feel free to submit.
Yeah, feel free to submit a question, Robert, or alternatively reach out to your CSM or support, and we'll be happy to pick that one up offline. There's a question, or more a comment about adding data AI to a tool. I think this comes from Bruno, and they'd like to use the IQ function instead of building their own stuff and discuss this further with us. Happy to set that time up. I can reach out to you about this. I think it's worth noting for everyone in the call today that Luzmo IQ is a pretty flexible solution. There's a number of ways to implement it and build it in with your own chat and your own journey. And if you have your own AI solution and AI thought path that you're going down, there's some really interesting use cases of how Luzmo can integrate with that essentially and supplement what you're already doing. So if you have any specific use cases or ideas that you'd like to try out, again, feel free to reach out to your CSM or support, and we'll be happy to organize some time with ourselves, first of all, to discuss what you're looking for, but also our more technical team so we can make sure that we answer your use case. But there's definitely some really interesting stuff that you can do with Luzmo IQ, particularly when it comes to integrating it with your own AI journey. Just looking to see if I can't see any newer questions to come in at the moment. We've still got a couple of minutes left. Jasper, I'm not sure in the few minutes we have left if there's anything else that you might want to highlight or shout out.
No, I'm also scrolling through the questions. I don't think I see any new ones. So no. If you ask me, do you have anything else to say, then I'm just repeating myself. Like I said, the numbers at the start, we're depending on the feedback. So please fill up product board with insights. It's really used. We're depending on it. And I hope we will have some good discussions about features currently in shaping and in-depth product discussions.
Perfect. Robert got in with a follow-up on his question around data exports. I know we've only got a few minutes left, so maybe we'll pick that up offline to get you the proper answer, Robert. But for just some details, a lot of customers with more operational CSV data export needs it, and the best way to manage this. Jim is asking, when will the large file support be released? Jasper, I'm not sure if there's any rough timelines you could share with us today?
We don't have a specific timeline, so it's planned for this quarter. I'm not sure, Francois, if you're comfortable making it more specific, but
no, that's what I would answer as well. So it's Q1, but we can't really share more precisely yet.
Okay. Perfect.
But maybe you can reach out also to your CSM if you want to be updated when we have a more precise ETA. We can also share it.
Yeah. So we have a few minutes left. What I would say is for all of the customers with the dedicated customer success manager, if you have any questions on anything that you've seen today, any questions on what we're working at more generally in 2025, or you just want to connect with our product team to bounce some ideas off of them, share some of your feedback, discuss what your kind of requirements might be for a specific feature, feel free to reach out to your CSM. That's the best first port of call to get in contact with our product team. And then from there, they're able to escalate it accordingly. They might be able to give you some information and insights on releases, how the feature will be able to work without involving the team, but we'll be more than happy to connect you in with the wider team. I think, as Jasper mentioned, they did over 140 meetings last year. That's nearly 3 meetings a week with different customers. And I know there was a lot more repeat meetings in with customers as well. So we're always happy to connect you in with our wider team and always happy to hear your suggestions, thoughts, feedback, and what ultimately you'd like to see with Lizmo. So with 1 minute left, I saw Adriana put a question in around alerts. Adriana, to kind of get you the full answer on that, maybe we can pick that up offline, but the question was, is there a plan to add support alerts for specific metric values like speedometers? I think this is something we'll be able to pick up offline. We're doing a lot around alerts and improving alerting and making Lizmo a lot more easier and accessible to use. So we'll be happy to pick that up and discuss and see exactly what the requirements might be there. Okay. With that being said, I know we are coming up on time. We have about 30 seconds left of the scheduled time that we have today for the roadmap webinar. So I just want to say thank you all for joining. We really appreciate you taking the time. We hope you are as excited by the 2025 roadmap as we are. As I said before, if you have any questions on anything that you've seen today or want to know anything more about what it is we're working on, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help however we can. And yeah, we're looking forward to releasing some of this stuff to you in 2025 and seeing you get a lot of usage out of it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you, Jasper. Thanks, Francois. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom, Francois.
Thanks, guys.